You never hear anyone use the term burying a seed. It's always planting a seed, right? Why is that? Even though I could argue technically that we are burying a seed into the darkness and depth of soil. I mean, it's no different than when we bury humans or animals or treasures. So it got me thinking, what is the audacity of this little seed that no one can dare call it buried? We have to use the word planted. It really got my brain working overtime. I want you to think about this too. I want you to relate this to your life. So here's how I relate it to mine. So as some of you already know that, I went through quite a few life crises back to back, from marital to business. And in those dark times, I felt naturally very helpless. I felt buried. I felt scared out of my mind. Heck, I was even told accidentally to my face that I was now buried. Yeah, believe it or not, someone actually used that word for me. Someone actually thought of me as a gone case. This person looked at me as somebody who was essentially done before the age of 40 and was condemned to live the rest of his miserable existence in bitterness and resentment and fear. And he was just perhaps socially awkward or careless that he ended up blurting it to my face in a conversation. Well, in all fairness, I don't think it was just him. I think there was dozens of people who were convinced the same way, that my last chapter of my life was essentially written and signed off. And then for all practical purposes, I was just a walking corpse. But I'll tell you something, and it's going to sound like a cliche, but it's very true. With faith, family, and friends by my side, I got to work. I looked deep inside, deep reflection, worked on my issues, worked on myself, worked on my healing, developed my plans, tried everything out, found a way out of this buried state. And about a decade later, I'm standing here. I'm still here. And I'm here with deep gratitude and with a rejuvenated sense of purpose. I feel blessed despite everything I've been through. Somehow, I'm surprised that I'm in a better place than I've ever been before. I get to live my life on my terms, an absolute luxury that I never thought I could afford earlier. Or at least that's what the world had conditioned me to think. Look, I get it. Feeling buried under the weight of adversity or expectations or even regrets, it's perfectly normal. That is the natural human condition, right? And yeah, we can fake it a little bit here and there just to get by, just as a survival instinct. I've talked about this in the previous video. But for the most part, we can feel the darkness. We can feel it in us, in our bones, around us. And no, there is no faking of that. We do feel suffocated. We feel the grips of negativity starting to constrict around our throats. And this agony of being proverbially buried while alive is just as potent as being buried alive. But I tell you one thing. Never, ever let yourself be buried for too long. Like a seed that immediately gets to work, immediately starts breaking its shell and growing its roots down and stem up, you need to get to work. The darkness is a perfectly natural and safe place for the seed to strengthen itself into a plant. The seed needs its privacy in a way like, let's say, a caterpillar in the cocoon turning into a butterfly. Just like that. Just like that, the seed needs to be protected from the elements during its transformation. So you be perfectly okay living as an unknown during this rebirth of yours. Nobody cares about you, just like they didn't care about me. And you shouldn't either if they do or they don't. Just keep working on yourself. That's your only job. Break your shells, your limiting belief barriers, and keep growing through self-development day after day after day. That is your only job. Heal, plan, push, experiment, take risks, fall, learn, come back again. One fine day, just like the plant breaks through the ground and the world notices it, it considers it insignificant. What does nature tell it? What does the nature tell the plant that has finally reached ground? Nature commands the plant not to stop. not to care what people think. They think of you as insignificant or significant, it doesn't matter. Just keep going deeper into the roots and higher into the shoots. And I'm telling you the exact same thing. Keep going till you can. Maybe you become a tall oak one day. Maybe you become a rose plant. It doesn't matter. Like I said, what people think of you does not matter. And where you end up, frankly, does not matter. What matters is how you respond in the now. What matters is that you deny your burial before your physical death one day. But in the now, you say clearly to the world, not today. I have a lot to live for and a lot to grow to. As long as you live, remember, never let anyone or any circumstance bury you. Be a seed and always choose to be planted.